let me love you.
Hey you guys, it's Midnight here back for another video, and I want to say welcome. We're starting a new segment on my channel named For the Nostalgia, and this will currently be episode 1. And we'll be talking about the 2009 K-drama Boys Over Flowers. Before I start this episode, I do want to share that this show was extremely toxic, whether we discuss the original source material being the manga slash anime and the other several other adaptations. Furthermore, I chose this show to be the first episode because this was probably, if not, most of our first K-dramas. So why not start here? Gu Jun comes from a poor family who owns a dry cleaning shop. One day she visits Shinhwa High School, a prestigious school for the wealthy, and saves a student trying to commit suicide because of bullying. For her heroic act, Jandi receives a swimming scholarship and starts attending the school. In Shinhwa High, she meets the notorious F4, the most popular and powerful group of boys at the school, consisting of Jun Pyo, the leader of F4 and the heir to the Shinhwa Group, Yoon Ji Hu, the grandson of a former president of Korea, So Yi Jung, a skilled potter who comes from a family that owns the country's biggest art museum, and Song Woo Bin, whose family runs the country's largest construction company. Her life at school starts out miserable as she doesn't fit in with other students because of her status, and later becomes worse when she is labeled as the new bullying target of F4. Starting off with the characters, I have to say that the characters do not hold up in terms to their original counterparts and what the author Kamiya Yoko intended. I don't like any of the character except for Ga-il, who is Jandi's best friend, and Seo-hyun, who is Ji-hoo's ex-girlfriend. Ga-il was a nice person. She was even better than Jandi, while Seo-hyun, unlike her other peers, she wanted to actually work hard to become a lawyer, even though her parents owned their own law firm, and she wouldn't let someone like Ji-hoo sway her decision to stay in Korea. Jondi was a terrible person as she wasn't honest about the fact that she didn't have feelings for Junpyo when he tried to woo her by love bombing her, and she kissed his best friend Ji-hoo and tried to gaslight him saying that it wasn't what you think. Unlike the original protagonist, Makino, she would have been honest, and she was a more relatable protagonist who you could see yourself through. Next is Junpyo. He wasn't as bad of a jerk that many made him out to be. Of course, I'm not excusing the terrible and disgusting things that he did to John D. However, I feel like in the manga slash anime, he was worse. Like, he was borderline abusive to the female protagonist. Also, there was some depth to his character, even though he was a jerk. And I felt that missing with his character. I felt like he was the least liked. I felt like he was the least version of the Melly that I had some type of compassion for, since he didn't have any parental figure to teach him right from wrong. They didn't even like they didn't even properly predict how his financial status resulted in his terrible behavior. Next is Jiho. It's crazy how as a child and many other people wanted him to end up with Jondi. When I rewatched this as an adult, I realized that he was worse than Junpyo. He lacked bro code. I don't trust anyone that would personally betray their friend and kiss a girl that they knew their friend liked or was interested in. Furthermore, the fact that he didn't care for Jondi either when he saved her in the beginning for being essayed, he only did it because they were being a burden on his privacy and peace. Then he dragged her into a long heated resentment between him and Junpyo because he broke his toy from when they were young. Also, I hated the fact that when Junpyo was going to propose to John Lee, he was the one to interject, which I thought was distasteful. Next is Yi Jung. He was my favorite member of F4 in this adaptation. Granted, he is guilty by association as him and the other members enabled Junpyo's behavior. However, I like the fact that him and Woo Bin were the glue to the group as they kept the group together. I must say that I know many were upset that him and Ga-il's relationship had an open ending that was up for interpretation. However, as I got older, I didn't care because this show was 25 episodes and it was rushed. An example being what they did to Minji's character, excuse me. So it made sense that they didn't think to make up their own interpretation of their relationship and make them a secondary couple in the series. Likewise, they didn't even have much of a storyline for Woo Bin, so I'm not really surprised. Going into the storyline slash plot, I feel like the plot really strayed away from the overall point of the show. This show is supposed to depict the utter trauma of being told from a young age that if a boy bullied you or is mean to you, that means that he likes you. Even though this is not something that the author clearly explicitly states, however, this was something that resonated with me and why this show has a special place in my heart because it shows how harmful that message is. Also, this show strips the good part of the original, like the fact that everyone grows to love the female protagonist, Makino, and the important message that came out of it, like plastic surgery and being rich, doesn't take away from experiencing having, issues and stuff like that. I felt like the bullying was overly excessive in this version. While I didn't have an issue, I didn't have an issue with the drink being spilled on the boy in the beginning or the girl being hit in the face with the cake that she made for Jun Pyo. I did have a problem with all of the bullying that happened to Gu Jun because it was inappropriate and not warranted. While the two students got food slash drinks being spilled on them, Jondi was about to get essayed and she got blasted with a fire extinguisher and her bike got vandalized. Next is Jondi and Ji Ho kissing each other at the beach. Even though this was in several other adaptations, I don't like the way that this was handled. I don't like the fact that Jondi didn't own up to her actions and she didn't push Ji-ho off of her, showing that she wasn't interested in his advances. However, she indeed was. I understand she felt bad for him because his ex-girlfriend, Seo-hyun, refused to return to Korea since she wanted to accomplish her own dreams without her family's help, and she wasn't going to let him or anyone hold her back, even though that doesn't give them the right to do, even then that doesn't give them the right to do something so despicable. Furthermore, once they got back to Korea for school, they should have both apologized to Junpyo and discussed what happened. As I've mentioned before, this made it hard to root for Jondi as a protagonist. In the end, I did not like the ending. I am pleased that Jondi was able to do something that she loved and ended up with Junpyo as she developed actual feelings for him. However, I didn't like that we didn't get to see Junpyo fully propose to Jondi since Ji-Hoo had interrupted their moment, which I didn't like because of the role that he played in their relationship. Ji-Hoo was the epitome of going after someone when it's too late, and he should have pursued Jondi when Seo-hyun had told him to pursue her. I just thought that a proposal would have been nice for this version as Jondi and the other members had graduated from high school. And also, too, it looked like Jondi was, doing what she liked. She already was in her career or whatever. So I only thought it was only fair. So in conclusion, I have to say overall as an adult, this show did not age well since none of the members took responsibility for the bullying or other terrible decisions that they made that may have affected others. Also, many of the things that was depicted in this show would not have fly today if it was released now in 2024, much less last year. This show was a reflection of its time, which I can say that I appreciate. This show will always have a fond memory, not because it was my favorite K-drama, it was my first K-drama, but because it wasn't realistic and I couldn't take it seriously. Because it wasn't realistic and I couldn't take it seriously. So yeah, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please do subscribe. And please let me know down below in the comments, like, do you think this show aged well? Do you think it didn't? And also explain why in the comments. Bye, you guys.